my favorite topics because a few stories stand out of my mind. I mean, there's many stories, but here's one of the ones that I love to share first because a mom brought her son and daughter to the library once, and the mom was basically in tears because she felt defeated. She was having a hard time getting her kids to read. She knew that it was important. You know, the culture makes it difficult. It's trying to always lure kids into visual entertainment, both visual, non-language oriented, and just entertainment, so not very significant in its content. And she was really feeling defeated. Now, generally, when a parent feels that they're not successfully getting their kids to read, they don't want to come to something called a library because that sounds like there'd just be more defeat to be had. But actually, she did the right thing. She brought the kids in and she surrounded them with the best books on the planet and began to get help. Well, we had a few minutes of chatting, and one of our other volunteers started to take the family around. Well, the daughter slipped away from that, and she came and found me. I had just stepped into a back room in the library, and she came up to me and she said, "If you think for 1 minute that you're going to get me to read, you've got another thing coming, lady." She said, "I'll probably fake it for the first 2 paragraphs just to get my mom to think I'm reading, but just so you know, I will not ever be reading anything ever." So I had the fun opportunity to just lightly chuckle and say, "I do hear what you're saying," and that makes it all the more fun when a couple of months from now, I'm going to watch you love reading, and I'm going to get to remember this moment, and we're both going to have a good laugh about it when we look back on it. And she just put those hands on those hips and just said, "Not going to happen, not going to happen." Well, that was because she didn't know how engaging and wonderful these living books, as they're called, are. Remember, parents, they were taken off of library shelves before you were even born. They started disappearing in the mid-1960s to early 1970s, and you know that that's when the big cultural shift, the postmodernism and all of that started. So you've never actually been able to see them yourself, so it is admittedly hard for you to imagine how capturing and engaging they are. But we've had the privilege of working with them, so that's okay. We have enough confidence for the both of us. But I already knew that we were going to send that family home with the best stuff. So what did mom do? She spread a blanket under the big oak tree and she just started reading out loud. And she allowed the kids some freedom to move around her, but pretty soon she noticed they really weren't moving around her. They were just on the blanket. And she very strategically stopped the story right at a cliffhanger moment. And then she would say it was time to go in and make dinner. And there were the kids left outside on the blanket going, "Mom, what happens next? What happens next?" So she managed to tease it out a little bit. And before you knew it, a month later, those kids were found racing into our library, down the hallway and into the door. This was at a different location. And they were breathless because they were panicked that the library was going to be closed before they could get more books. So guess what? We had that fun little chuckle that I was telling you about when the girl remembered that she didn't think she could ever be changed. But it's interesting that the mom said that day, "You know what? It's not even just that they love reading and therefore we're just dining deeply on really great content." She said, "The way my children treat each other has changed. My son is more gentlemanly to my daughter. My daughter is more helpful. They're more considerate of each other and of us because they were soaking in character." Remember that the world tells us that the purpose for a book is basically to be a textbook or to give us a factoid to memorize. But an actual real book with real lyrical language and great art actually, remember, brings deep character-rich content to our hearts. And when you soak in character, you become a person of character. If you put a white cloth into a bin of blue dye, that white cloth is going to turn blue. So as you dip and immerse and soak your children into the best content and the best language and the best writing, it will change them. And guess what? They'll even become gifted at language. My second son had to remind me, I think he said he got a perfect score on the verbal portion of the SAT. Why? Because he was soaking in great language all the time. All my sons are just, and I have an adopted daughter as well, but they love to write. And so they are good readers and good writers. So it just happens automatically. Put them into the best and you will get the best results. I could tell you a million more stories, but I'll stop right there.